Matthew. Thank you for the offer. That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm going to be sending you an email. You'll see it. So
a cease and desist email, maybe. Okay. Well, welcome back, everybody, to the Connector Podcast and my unofficial intro that I'm still making as I go. Today, I have a very special guest that is a little bit of a different thing for me. So this is fun. We've barely talked. I think we just talked briefly on LinkedIn, Matthew, and I was kind of like, you got a cool background. And you were like, yeah, I'll be on a podcast. So usually I have some internet friends that maybe I've talked to for a handful of months, and then I'm like, let's do a podcast. But so you're a first for me. You're my first, Matthew.
Well, hey, I'm excited to be here. I'm glad we connected on LinkedIn.
Yeah, likewise. And man, you got a background that is not just impressive, but like really cool. I was even just checking out your LinkedIn. You interviewed Mike Tyson. You've worked alongside Hulk Hogan. I believe you're Senior Vice President of Partnerships and Events with Real American Beer, which Hulk founded. Is that correct?
That's right, brother. Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah, I love it. And so you've met him. You've met Mike Tyson. Man, you know, it's the funniest thing too is, so you're a Udemy instructor.
Mm-hmm.
I was on Udemy like years ago trying to, what was I doing? I was trying to promote my thing to guys from India who had email lists. And so when I saw Udemy, I was like, oh, I didn't even realize that was still going on. But you got like, what, 150,000 students, something like that?
Yeah, I think over 145,000 students have taken the course, according to the stats they show me. So.
Wow. So in other words, probably more, because you're probably giving some away.
I think a lot are deeply discounted and things like that. But there's students all over.
Yeah, but otherwise, I mean, I could keep I could former Forbes council member, LinkedIn top entrepreneur voice. Honestly, the most impressive part, though, and then I want to hear from you, is, and this is, I'll be honest, guys, listen up. He is a bench press state champion, Matthew Rolnick. Great to have you, brother.
Well, great to be here. As I said, I've been running wild, having fun with what I'm doing, and I appreciate, again, you having me jump on your podcast here.
Of course. Yeah. So if you want to take a few minutes and just as much or as little as you want to get into with your story, you don't have to start from, in 19, actually, I don't know how old you are. I don't want to guess, but whatever you think is relevant to sharing your story at this part of your life, would love my audience to just get to know you a bit, and then we'll go from there.
Sure. I consider myself an entrepreneur, which entrepreneur within companies. Out of college, I started my own marketing publishing company. I went to University of Wisconsin-Madison, and that's kind of got me my entrepreneurial chops, where I started an advertising marketing company. And then, but I've always gravitated towards marketing and sales. And I was with companies early on with like Tribune, City Search, Groupon when they first started. I watched Groupon grow. I met the CEO and he had 7 employees, and it grew to 12,000. It was one crazy ride that was on.
Wow.
And then recently I was with a company called Paint Night, also known as 𝗖𝗶𝘁𝗵. They did a lot of in-person events. When COVID hit, we were doing virtual events. And then I started working with speakers. That kind of snowballed for me to work with celebrities. I started working with Fran Drescher or Jim Gaffigan or Montel Jordan, but that's when I got to interview Mike Tyson, as you mentioned. And I once got Hulk on a Zoom. I knew his partner, Chad Bronstein, very well. We got him on a Zoom. I'm explaining how this all works. And then that's when I heard, yeah, brother, this is sounding good. And next thing you know is I got invited to be the SVP of Partnerships and Events with Real American Beer. We started just over a year ago, June 2024. Now we're in 28 states. And I'm having a lot of fun helping everything I can to help grow the brand. I'm a little bit of a utility guy, but I'm outgoing, and I love talking to people like you. I love partnerships and networking, and that's a little bit of my story.
Yeah, I love it, man. That's so awesome. And thank you for sharing. But yeah, brother. Hey, brother. I see in the background there, you got a photo Hulk. You got your book, by the way. I forgot to mention that. An author as well. How cool. And then the big photo, the can there for the company. I'd love to know a little bit actually about your book and not just what it's about, but really what inspired you to put your thoughts to words and actually get it out there long term.
Yeah, about 5 years ago, I'd say, I started posting a lot more on LinkedIn, and I decided to start doing more thought leadership, giving advice to leaders, businesses, just got it out there. And I started getting more and more comfortable writing. And that just continued to snowball, I'll say, for me. That's when another company reached out to me, said they wanted to tag team with me to do some Udemy courses on entrepreneurship, persuasive writing. And so I started writing more. I started writing more articles. Forbes Council got my attention or saw me on LinkedIn, asked if I was interested in being a member of the council member. I started writing for articles that were in Forbes, and it just kind of continued to grow. And then I realized I probably had enough content where I like talking about people being their authentic selves. Authentic's a word that's used a lot, but I'm a believer in that, about sharing your story, branding yourself, branding others. And I decided I wanted to write a book. And so I worked with a company that helped me put it together and market it. And then it's kind of taken off. It wasn't a big money maker for me, but it did help brand, and it got me some a couple consulting opportunities from it. It got me other speaking opportunities, even paid speaking opportunities for it. So I thought it elevated myself, and I thought I got my message across on why it's important for people to be, I'll say, less shy, get their word out, and promote themselves, their companies. And at the time, the company I was working for was Yaymaker. So I was very kind of strategic in using the term find your yay, because this way I could promote myself and the company I was working for.
Nice. I love that. And hey, man, kudos to you for even making a book. I know a lot of people, talk a big game and don't really walk anything out. So it's the fact that you even have one out. Never mind, you did it professionally. You did it the right way. I love that. Actually, so, okay, this is very interesting, though. I'm very much in the world of personal branding. And so you specifically titled the book to be relevant to you, but also to the company you were working with. So that being said, I love your thoughts on the shifts you've seen maybe in your career span from company branding to personal branding. Like, how important is American beer versus Hulk Hogan representing the company? Does that make sense?
I think I'm understanding your question. There's a lot of people that are shy to do a lot of personal branding, worried their company is going to frown upon that. I've kind of embraced it and tried to kind of weave it together in certain ways. So I did that with my past company. Like, look at me now. I'm wearing a real American beer shirt, red, white, and blue. I mean, I've identified myself a lot with the brand, and I said, an energetic guy, and I love being an ambassador of our company. So I'll tie in a lot of things. Even when I have serious business messages, I'll often use the, beer related terms, or you say, yeah, brother, things like that. I mean, but so I try to incorporate it because I'm a believer that companies and leaders should encourage their own employees to share more. Now, your second part of the question about the brand, I mean, Hulk Hogan he was the vision, the founder of, or the co-founder of Real American Beer. And so he was the catalyst. He physically and metaphorically opened up so many doors. Now, Real American Beer, now we're in 28 states. We're still running wild. Hulk was obviously the one who really was the major drive, but Real American Beer as a brand itself is exciting, dynamic, patriotic, and we are getting a lot of buzz because of it. And so we are growing that brand continuously beyond Hulk.
Yeah, I love that. My only question is, when's it coming to Canada, brother?
We will see. Right now, again, 28 states, still growing wild, but hopefully in the near future.
Yeah, if my government doesn't tax the living shit out of it, but whatever. That's neither here nor there. That's a different conversation. But yeah, I do find this a fascinating thought of, what if I started this company? Would it have the legs it does? And the answer is no, based on me today in this current state. But it's an interesting time we live in, where a lot of people that are personalities have a trustworthy brand, or just a brand, and then come out with a product. I was having this conversation recently. I'd love your thoughts on this, because if you like Hulk, you like him, you know him, and even if you're vaguely familiar, you're like, oh yeah, he's a cool guy, but now he has a product. So now when I go try that, if it lives up to the expectation or surpasses it, I actually think of Hulk more positively. I think, oh, wow, he actually produces a quality product. He's not just selling out just to put out some merch. And so I find a lot of people, though, unfortunately, they've fallen victim to just putting out a product because they have a name, but then the product is trash, and now their name actually gets dragged through the mud. So yeah, I'd love to know if you have any thoughts on what you've seen in that sense.
I do. I know a lot of celebrities, they try to diversify and they start different products or have their name behind it. Hulk really took real ownership. I mean, he was traveling a couple times, at least every month, to different states, launching it, meeting thousands of people, and really was proud of the product. Loved drinking it. We were on stage or at bars across the country, and he would do case signings all over. But he took a lot of pride in the quality of it. And so, and I share, a lot of people, they first look at buying it kind of because they're curious. After they taste it, they're like, "Oh, this is damn good." And we realize that it is a great light beer, and we say it's a real crushable light beer. But anyway, so he really took it very serious. He wanted this part of his legacy, and so I'd say for a celebrity, he doubled down, tripled down, quadrupled down on this to make this part of it. So I mean, so I don't think that's typical with a lot of celebrity endorsed products, but he really, when he goes in, he goes all in.
Yeah, I love that. And can I say, I tried Guinness recently for the first time.
Okay.
Surprisingly delightful.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, I mean, Guinness is Guinness is a really thick, it's a beer. It's almost a meal in itself. I mean, we have a light beer, but yeah, Guinness is very tasty.
Yeah, I always thought it was just going to be muddy and, because it's so dark. And then I was with my buddy, and he's actually in Ireland right now. Shout out Chris. So he's at the heart of it. I think Guinness is Irish, right? Am I crazy? Yep. Yeah, okay. I don't sound like a total ignorant beer connoisseur that I am not, actually. But anyways, that all being said, Matthew, one of the things I find very fascinating when I talk to high performers is if they had a high performance mindset or attitude or habits when they were younger. So for myself, just to give you an example, never thought I would ever be an entrepreneur, didn't know what the word meant, didn't even have small business owners in my family, at least none that were successful. So I had a vision and a path of I was going to go military and then police, and I knew exactly how many years I would work and when I would retire and what the pension would look like. Because if I switched from military, which is federal, into RCMP, which is our federal police, then my pension would transfer, and I had the whole plan. And then when I got out of university, when I got out of the university and then also out of the Army, I was just sat there and I thought, if I go down this path, I'll have the lifestyle of the people who came before me. And I don't want anything they have. I don't want their income. I don't want their marriages or lack thereof. I don't want the places they live. And so I started to realize and become an entrepreneur through the realization of nobody around me has the life I want. So I got to go seek that outside of my bubble and, started watching YouTube videos and all this kind of stuff. Anyways, that being said, some people are different. Some people grow up and they're like, I'm going to change the world. And I developed into that, I guess, where some people just have it. So would love to know when that spark happened for you, or did you always have it?
Wow. You know what? I've always been, I'd say, motivated, a go-getter. I've always felt more, I don't know if the word is validated or connected if I'm working or feeling productive. So that's always important to me, to produce, to build, to collaborate with others. That's always been part of me. Now, like you shared, you originally had this thought and plan and then just decided to go in a different route. I've always, to me, networking is very important in connecting with people, and you don't know what new opportunities could come about. This was never my professional bingo card, what I'm doing now, but again, I've always been motivated. I've always been assertive. I've never been shy to approach somebody. I don't take no personally, and I'm always trying to find creative ways to make things happen. And I've been a pit bull in many aspects of, if I'm excited about something, I'm going to try to make it happen. And if I hear no a few times, I'm still going to try to find a way to get another party or something excited about what I'm doing. So that's kind of me a little bit. But to your thought, as I said, everybody's different. Everyone has a different path, and things pivot and change. A lot of people, what they study, it's not what they do for a career. Being an entrepreneur has a lot of pros and cons. You need thick skin. You need to keep plowing through. You need to be this, Chad Bronstein, I like to mention, he talks about radical optimism. And I feel like you need that in this type of industry, in my opinion.
Radical optimism. I like that. Yeah. I've heard the same thing in different words. Like, you have to be the most optimistic person in any room you go into if you want to be an entrepreneur and stuff like that. Yeah. Wow. Is it ever true? And when you say pit bull, do you mean like Mr. 305 or you mean like the dog?
Mr. Worldwide. I mean a little bit of both. Pitbull has a lot of fun. He loves to entertain, and I didn't realize it. But also what I mean like the dog in the sense that, again, if my mind's set for something, I can be very lasered in and be like, I'm going to make this
Yeah.
happen. And even though I get excited, and you can tell probably I have a little ADHD, but when I'm excited about something and I'm serious, I'm going to do everything I can to keep moving forward. So
Yeah. Do you find the no's were always, it was like it just kind of came naturally to you to brush the nose off and not make it personal? Or was that like a journey of making it not personal?
I'll say a little bit of both. I think the way my DNA is, I don't take things that personally. I mean, it's just like I joke that you can call me short, balding, 5 o'clock shadow all the time. It doesn't matter. You can't. It's hard to offend me.
Right.
So I'm all right. I know everyone's got their own challenges, own baggage, things like that. But as I get older, I realize that even more. So if somebody's angry or says something rude or something like that, or just is dismissive, I don't take that too personally, but I'd say it's a little more my nature. It's like I'm a very forgiving person and I'm just very pragmatic and just moving forward.
Yeah, that's fair. Definitely took me, I think I spent a couple years of my journey, I think, just not being like butthurt.
Yeah,
Learning how to not take everything.
yeah.
Yeah, it's the worst. And sometimes I still fall prey to this, especially over text. If someone says something to me on LinkedIn that's really like it's just off-putting. Oh, the animal wants to come out and just be sarcastic and rude.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh no, they can screenshot this.
Yeah.
But that's why I'll send a voice note.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. And I don't again, I'm not saying I don't have a petty side to different things and I like to attack and things, but in general, that's my nature.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. No, I mean, you need that. The thick skin, the unoffendableness.
Yeah.
That's probably one of the first lessons I know I had to really learn in this space is if you're offended by everyone and everything, whether it's politics, it's this, it's that, or the, and actually, I want your thoughts on this because this is my opinion on being offended.
Okay.
If you come at me for my faith or my, yeah, like you said, my height, my hair, my this, that, like these are things that either they just are or that I'm very confident in. Like we don't have to get into this, but I'm a Christian and I have a faith, but it's a very firm faith and I know why I believe what I believe. So you could call me a 𝗖𝗶𝘁𝗵𝗁 worshiper, this, that, use all the words in the book. I'm not going to get offended because I'm rooted. But I find the people that typically get the most offended are not rooted in that thing. They have insecurities or they have a lack of knowledge. So if you get offended because I say something about your political party, typically you don't actually really know what you believe in. You're just kind of believing whatever's told to you. And because you don't know how to properly respond with facts and logic and understanding, the easiest thing for you to do is just get flustered and brush me off. So I would love your thoughts on the difference between people who are unoffendable and get offended about everything and what maybe commonalities you see.
Well, it's fascinating to me because I wasn't exactly sure everything we talk about on your podcast and being connector and partnerships and all this. But I mean, what you're sharing and what you're asking me, I find very interesting. So, and, I don't typically talk religion or ideas or things like that. But the reality is, you know what? I can understand or respect somebody who's very strong in their faith. And I can also understand somebody who that's not their cup of tea. They don't get it, and they're maybe a little judgmental of it or things like that, or vice versa. So, but I'm a believer in, as human beings, we have lots of different opinions, a lot of different experiences, and knowing that, you know what, it might make sense why someone thinks you're kooky for what you're thinking, and it also makes a lot of sense why people align and think very similar to the way you do. So, again, I'll say even from your Christian faith or background, giving people grace, I think is important. And so I always try to instill more gratitude and more grace to people. And I feel like that can be helpful for me in business or any other personal type things. It's like, you don't know where their perspective is or what someone just went through. And it's like, I'm going to give people grace, the benefit of the doubt. And I also find when somebody comes at me very aggressive, rude, or things like that, I'm really disarming. Like, oh my God, sorry you felt that way or things like that. That's not how I tried to come off, but I'll just stick with whatever I was doing. And me coming off unoffended or not attacking back or things like that, sometimes people come to their own and go, hey, I didn't mean to come off that aggressive. I've found that sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah, gratitude and grace. I like that a lot. So this is something I've been learning the last year, and I'm glad you've well, learning a lot more intensely, I guess, is you can have very rooted opinions and beliefs, but you might be this, I might be that. We might be total opposites. Does that mean we can't respect each other or we can't have a normal conversation? No, I don't think it does at all. And I think, in fact, it's really good to actually respectfully butt heads with your opposition, so to speak, because otherwise, how are you ever going to sharpen your ideas, right? And
Yeah.
sharpen your own, because you might believe something because mommy and daddy told you 20 years ago, and you've never actually thought about it critically
Yeah.
until somebody challenges that. And that's why I think sometimes we get offended, because it challenges things we've always, well, but that's just what I've always believed. And then having to realize, like, I might need to change my beliefs on this topic.
Yeah.
It's hard for a lot of people, and people just aren't willing to, I think.
Well, you know what? One of the things that resonated with me about even joining Real American Beer, and I'll tie it in this conversation, is the mission of the beer was, can't we just all get along and have a beer with it? So Hulk's
Mm,
background in wrestling, guys would like, they get physically hurt. Noses could be
yeah.
broke, things like that. And people would be upset if there was an elbow or things like that. And a lot of times they wanted to physically fight after. And Hulk would say, hey, can't we just grab a beer after, talk this out? And the idea was, it doesn't matter if you're black, white, Republican, Democrat, what your background is, what you think. The idea was, can't we just all talk and think about it? So obviously things are hard. If you're diametrically opposed on issues, it's sometimes hard to find common ground. But I still believe the first step is, and I'll say, have a beer and talk about it, or have a cup of coffee and talk about it, whatever it is. But I'm just saying, I'm a believer in the only way we're going to all grow, progress, get to learn each other more is by conversation, and try to keep the temperature down a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. Tell me about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. What is one of the biggest lessons you've learned in being a connector, that you could, if you could tell yourself 10 years ago, hey man, if you just did this or said this or acted this way, it would make you a much better connector.
You know, I'll say, one is, the world's smaller than I think we realize. So I think there's a lot of people that they have a bad experience work related with the company and they move on, and then they're again dismissive of other people. Well, some of those people may come back full circle. You never know who could be a future client, a future strategic partner. You just never know. And especially industries, there's a lot of overlap and things like that. So that's one. But I believe, like sports, like music, like having a goal, working out, even meeting people and connecting or going to events, you can make those goals. I mean, if you're introverted, hey, 4 times a year, go to an event and give out 10 business cards. That can be, hypothetically, I mean, I believe that you hear the expression, it's not what you know, it's who you know. And the reality is both are important, but knowing more people and knowing and people liking you and understanding what you do and your value, that's really important. And um so anyway, that's something. And then I'm always trying to help others if I can. And so, like, you'll see, like, if I see an interesting article, I might send that article to 10 different people on LinkedIn that I think it's relevant for them. If I have anybody that I see looking for an opportunity or trying to find a new opportunity, or a company looking, I'm always trying to match make that. And I feel like people will really appreciate that. And I'm rambling a little, but the last thing I'll say is, people always reach out to people when they hit pinnacles, when they're achieve things. That's when everybody wants to be your friend. Everybody's reaching out. I like to make sure I reach out to people in their low time. So when somebody
Mm.
gets let go, or somebody has something embarrassing or hard or things like that, that's when all of a sudden they feel isolated and the world's against them. I try to reach out to them and say, hey, listen, I'm sorry, whatever your situation is or whatever, but I'll just say, you know, often I'll say, if I can be a resource, let me know. And that alone, I think people appreciate, because most people will find, and I'm ballparking and I'm making this number up, 90% of people will just vanish once you can't benefit them, or they've gone a path that wasn't exactly what they wanted. But that's something that I think is important, is being a connector, because I find later that a lot of those people will say that meant the world to them, and they've got back from their bootstraps. They're back up. They're in a good position. But I feel like that just helps strengthen that relationship too.
That's a really good point. And how do you balance? Okay, so another this is
Go
more of
ahead.
I think a mentorship call for me. I'm just asking you questions I want to know
Yeah, yeah.
because this is something I've been learning how to balance again very recently is how much selfless care and connecting do I do, and where's the line of monetizing that and making it a actual legitimate strategy of, oh, I connected you guys and you actually did business together, but I've seen no reward from that, and now I'm broke and all I'm doing is connecting people. So where do you find that line and how do you toe that line?
So I would say you obviously have to be very thoughtful of the work at hand you have to do. I mean, that's got to be your biggest blocks and most priority. But if you can quickly help somebody else, that's a deposit that you'll probably never get a return on. But if it barely takes you any time or energy, you can do a lot of very thoughtful, impactful things that take a minuscule amount of time. So I look at that. And I know that at least 95% of the stuff that deposits I make out there are not coming back to me. And I'm okay with that. And maybe selfishly, I feel better when I'm helping other people. I don't know if it's selfish, unselfish, or a balance, but that doesn't matter. I mean, I do it because I have the time, I have the resources, or I have the connections, and it's something that I think I can help somebody. But I don't spend too much time on that. I mean, literally, even if it's 5 minutes a day at most, I'm doing things above and beyond my current role or work or things like that, where I'm trying to help somebody else. Um, but I try to keep a pretty open door, and it's not always easy. But going back to your question is, I don't know if you were your own best friend or you had your own twin brother that gave you advice. I feel like your gut just kind of knows when you're giving too much of yourself or what that balance is, but it's a balance. Um, so that's the best I think I can answer that.
Yeah. No, that's fair. It is hard to figure out the boundary of
Yeah.
how much can I give of myself. And then also, well, this person keeps asking me for professional connections and I've never seen a dime of that. So maybe I should start, writing a
Yeah.
contract here. So
Yeah.
it's hard to toe that line sometimes. And depending on your level of success, and then if you got to a certain point, are people now just trying to leech off of you
Right.
versus is this a genuine, hey man, I can help you. I know someone. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, sorry to interrupt you, but I mean, I know people that they only reach out to me when they're looking for a job.
Right.
They've never, it's been 2 years. I haven't heard with them forever. But now all of a sudden they need a job. Now it's like, oh, I should have, I need to network. Do you know of anything and things like that? And I'm like, and I'll still be, hey, you should think about ABC, this company. I can connect you to that. Now, every person, if you know a person's kind of taking advantage of it, then you got to draw some lines, obviously. But in general, I think most people genuinely mean to help, but they're all trying to self-protect or figure out what's next. I don't think it's people's natural instinct to, they have their closest circles in their work. That's what they're focused on. And, most people I don't think naturally are trying to help professionally people as much. I mean, people do charity work and things like that. But again, going back to your thing, it's like, you got to know as long as you're doing the work that you've set out each week, each month, each day, you know, it's always nice, I think, to try to help others or connect or things like that. And then, yeah.
Yeah, I've heard it said, you will always reap what you sow, but you often won't reap where you sow.
Okay, there you go. Well,
So,
there you
it's
go. Yeah.
to think
Yeah.
of it, as a spiritual thing or the universe or
Yeah.
whatever, but you will reap the benefits. It just probably isn't going to be in the same place you you
Yeah.
sowed it.
Yeah. 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 I mean, and by the way, there has been things that have turned around or helped me unexpectedly many months later. And who knows? Like, I've helped friends find new jobs or connect or encourage them to, this is how you should market yourself on LinkedIn, or I've helped them with a resume. And next thing you know is they've reached out to me. My wife does real estate, and I connect them with her to help them find or sell a place. And it's like, that had nothing to do with, I mean, but there was certain, I don't know if it's karma or good deeds come, but sometimes randomly you help somebody, they mention it to somebody else and it comes through. I mean, that happened to me with speaking engagements or things like that, or even on a podcast like with yours. I mean, the reality is a lot of people will see it, things like that. we'll get maybe a little feedback. And then maybe 6 months later, all of a sudden someone says, hey, Josh, hey, we'd love for you to MC this or interview this or have you as a consultant for this. You just don't know, but maybe it's one of every 25 guests where something tangible you can track towards it. I don't know.
Yeah. So what you're saying is you're going to get me to be a speaker on one of your events. I accept, Matthew. Thank you for the offer. That's awesome.
Yeah. I'm going to be sending you an email. You'll see it. So it's
a cease and desist email, maybe. That's funny. Okay. So I have a question.
Yeah.
Super unrelated to all of this, but
Okay.
I was just, it's been in the back of my mind as I'm looking at this like American apparel, American vibes. And I know you're a big music guy. So my favorite concert ever, and I'd love to know yours, was I got to see the Eagles on their last tour all together before, I think it was Glenn Fry that was the first to pass away.
Okay, nice.
Welcome to the Hotel California.
So it was the history of the Eagles tour. And, just a couple of them came out with acoustic guitars and they were actually talking through their story, sitting on an amp, just playing the acoustic. And then as the new band members actually came in 1972, they would actually add them into the concert and then they would play the songs in progression. So anyways, I'm a huge music guy. I have a list of all the concerts I've ever been to. And I'm in a season right now in my life where I'm allowing myself to have a little bit more fun. And because I've been in such grind mode for so long. So I'm looking for concerts right now. So I'd love to know your favorite musical event experience that you've ever had.
Well, boy, that's tough. I mean, recently, or it was last summer, my wife and I at Soldier Field in Chicago, where I live, we saw a Billy Joel, Stevie Nicks concert.
Wow, nice.
And so for Soldier Field to be all packed and for both of them and so many songs knowing, I mean, that was an amazing concert. This is going to sound, not your answer I was looking for, but recently I've been working with a lot of local bands. And so we work with like a Russell Dickerson, who's got a #1 country song right now, but we also work with, so I'm in Illinois and we work with some local bands. So one of them is called Hillbilly Rockstars. And what's fun for me is here, I'm on brand. I've got this bright red jacket, Real American Beer, but they invite me up on the stage. And next thing you know is I got the mic. I'm hyping them. I'm hyping the beer. I'm waving T-shirts. My wife's like, "What's going on?" But she sees how much fun I'm having. So, so I love working with all these local bands too. So I've had a lot of fun with that. But it's a fun concert when I realized since I started with Real American Beer how much I get energy from a crowd, and so. So I've emceed a lot events now, or even I used to be on stage with Hulk, but recently this summer I've been to a couple of these Hillbilly Rockstars, and they're a local Chicago band, but it's just fun for me to be on stage and just be with a local crowd.
I love that. Do you play any instruments yourself?
I don't. I mean, I can play GCD on guitar, few chords. I was never that great at strumming, so I never did it. I mean, I like music. As I said, I love working with the bands, but I would not, a few piano lessons, a few guitar lessons, but that was it.
But you have the voice of an angel, right?
Oh, there you go.
And your wife would agree?
She would agree. So
is that how she closes her real estate deals? You pretend to be just another viewer, and you're in the best acoustic spot of the whole house, and you're just singing opera, singing Andrea Bocelli, and
not exactly that, but you do. I mean, you talk about connections and partnerships. I mean, my wife will consider herself a little more introverted, but once she meets somebody for 2 minutes, she becomes their best friend. Where I've been better at is I've been a catalyst. So I encourage her to come to networking events. When people meet her, she just opens up, and then I become invisible, and she shares, but she's picked up clients that way. But I do think with anything in business, having good people that you tag team with and have complementary skills, I think are really important.
That's a very good point. Now, I'm curious though.
Yeah.
What do you think I am? Do you think I'm more introverted, extroverted? And then how would you define that?
So my guess is, and again, we haven't known each other. This is we talked once after LinkedIn or things like that, and you shared a little military things. My guess is you started more introverted and started becoming more extroverted, would be my guess, especially because you asked me that, because you're obviously naturally talking to people. You have your own podcast, but at the same time, I think you've realized I guess I'm not a palm reader or tarot card reader or anything like that. But my guess is that you've realized as an entrepreneur, you have to embrace it, and you realize you have a good voice, strong people skills, things like that, and you embrace it. So that would be my guess is you're an introvert who's kind of leaned into your extroverting, kind of put yourself in that position. Am I close?
Interesting. That's part of it, I would say. So I think I was actually a lot more extroverted when I was younger, and I would have always said and I was just always doing stuff. I was president of my high school, and then I just had some bad breakups in university. I gained weight. I got depressed. Joined the military. Oh, I didn't join because of that, but it just all happened at the same time, and it was just. And then that was some of the hardest stuff I'd ever done. And I also then realized in that time that this is the wrong path. And so all of my school and everything was a waste of time, and my family's going to be, disappointed in me. And it was just like everything felt like it caved in. And as I was rebuilding myself, I think I was in such a dark place that I let an introverted cloud almost kind of come over me. And that's the wrong word, not introverted, but antisocial cloud come over me. And as an entrepreneur, and as I learned and grew, and you know what actually really helped me define this for myself? You know who Simon Sinek is?
Yeah.
So he has this talk about, he's this talk about introversion, extroversion.
Why?
Yeah. And he says an introvert wakes up every day with 10 coins in their pouch, and each interaction is giving away a coin. And then when they're broke and they have no more coins, they got to go recharge by themselves. Whereas an extrovert wakes up with 0 coins, and every interaction charges them and fuels them. And when I heard that definition, I realized, and then he also said, you can be a charismatic introvert. Introversion doesn't mean you're socially awkward. It's just a matter of recharging energy levels. And often introverts, because of that, do keep to themselves, which often means they do have less social skills. So I realized that I'm actually very much a natural introvert, probably more like your wife, but I do have some ADHD kind of similar to you, where I've developed good people skills very intentionally. So I would say I'm a charismatic introvert, and I'm very selective where I give my energy, because it can dissipate faster than I would like it sometimes. So I got to be particular.
All right. Well, that makes sense. I mean, I feel like everybody has all sides. I mean, I've had ups and downs in my career and things like that. And there's been times where I've been feel less social or antisocial. I know my work defines me in certain aspects, or it affects my own self-esteem. It has. So when I know in transition periods where I wasn't as happy with my work, or while looking for work or whatever it was, I wasn't feeling as social. So I think when people, when they have that rhythm, or they're in an opportunity that they like, I feel like it's easier to be themselves. But I think we've all had those periods where we're feeling a little more, I guess, antisocial. But I think that's pretty typical.
So do you find then, because you mentioned you get your energy from the crowds, do you find just in everyday life, you have almost this endless stream of energy that comes from other people? Or do you find that you do definitely have a social quota most days?
I would say I'm in the upper 2% on just general extrovert energy or things like that. I mean, I do wake up and I'm ready to go. And a Saturday or a Monday don't feel that differently to me in some aspects too. It's like I'm just kind of usually always on. Now, that's not to say I don't crash or things like that. But I get energy from ideas, and I get energy from people in building building, I'd say, concepts or ideas or programs. But it just was recently where it just kind of opened up the floodgates. As I said, I've never really had a microphone on stage. It actually happened to be when, our co-founder and CEO gave me the mic in front of Hulk, and then all of a sudden there's 700 people, and I got the mic, and I'm doing yeah, brothers and all this, and getting the crowd chanting. And anyway, it opened up the new door. And just recently, 𝗖cie Martinez, who's probably one of the best wrestling coaches in the world, is in Illinois. He asked me to MC a high school wrestling tournament. And I think most people that watch high school wrestling watch it more intently. And they're more serious. And here I'm getting the crowd going, cheering on the wrestlers, and come on, 30 seconds left, let's go. And but I realize that gives me extra energy. But again, to answer your question, I would say I'm a little bit of an anomaly. I'll talk to strangers. I'll talk to people. I mean, it's just, even bad interactions don't bother me really. So.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so interesting that, we're all wired so differently, but it's knowing your strengths and weaknesses and then playing off of those. And like you said, finding strategic partners, especially that can balance those energy levels and you know, help you in the areas maybe you're not so good at and vice versa. That's yeah, I mean, hey, that's one of the reasons I'm so particular, I think, about who I want my wife to be. Because ultimately, I don't want. So I'm single. I'm 30, and I got a piece of dust here. There you go. I'm and I'm ADHD too, I think. But I'm single. I'm 30, and I would like to not be single and 31. You know what I mean? Like I do want a partner. It's just I realized I want a co-pilot, not an anchor. Meaning, I want someone who's not necessarily doing exactly the same thing behind me every single day, but someone who's capable enough to be able to help take the reins or push me and motivate me, like you were talking about, and someone who also gets my brain and isn't just there to give me generic compliments, like someone who can help in that journey. And I think based on my level of go and my level of ambition, which I think is pretty big and getting bigger by the day, I think it's getting harder for me to find the right person as my dreams grow and as my career moves forward. So did you meet your wife early on, or were you already in this mode?
No, I met my wife in my early mid 30s. And so I was 34, 30 when we met, or 30, 34,
So
35.
I got
I don't know.
time.
You got time. And I'll tell you, you're right. I mean, if you meet someone for the right reasons, I mean, it's we get along obviously very well. She's my best friend. And even when we fight fair. There's no low blows. We're not trying to bring each other out. We are both trying to elevate each other and be support and things like that. And I do think um if you can find that partner who's also a best friend, um and I mean that's ideal. I mean, life isn't easy. Marriages, relationships aren't always easy, but if you have someone that is in your corner and vice versa, and it's one of those things too. It's got to be, you have to be there for them, and they need to be there for you. But yeah, I do think life is definitely more rewarding when you've got somebody to share and grow the ups and the downs with. So
Yeah. So what you're saying is in my LinkedIn bio, I should put looking for a hot best friend.
there you go. There you go.
All
There
right, you heard
go.
it here first. Matthew Rolnick, his professional advice for all single men. No, I'm just joking.
I don't remember exactly saying that, but there you go.
I'll clip
But
it. I'll make it
yeah,
sound
yeah,
like
yeah,
you
yeah,
said
yeah.
it.
You make it sound like it. With AI, you can get anybody to say anything now.
Yeah.
But
I saw a video actually earlier today. I was on a meeting with anyways, I don't want to call them out or say who it was, but I was on a meeting with some high rollers, which was cool. And they were showing us a brief demo of an introductory video for one of their courses that they're putting out. And the whole thing was an AI woman. And besides her mouth moving in some weird ways that I could pick up was AI,
yeah,
it was really good and it was concerning. And she was hot. So I was like, I made a joke on the call after it played. I said, hey, I mean, I'd ask if she's single, but I'm pretty sure she's not real. And then they were all laughing. But it's a weird place we're getting in now with AI too.
well, and it's only getting better. It's going to get harder and harder to detect what people are saying, if they really said that or not. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's a fascinating world. There's a woman I follow named 𝗖𝗍𝗵𝘁 Miller, but
I think
I
I
would
follow
say,
her.
yeah, but she is an AI, I'll say, expert thought leader and talks in real layman's terms. But I mean, I do think any entrepreneur needs to be paying attention on the changes, what's going on, because if you can't beat it, you got to join it or figure out how to embrace it. So
Yeah. I don't know how this question is even relevant, but might as well ask it. Have you noticed any effects of AI in like the beverage industry? Like how has that affected you guys, if at all? Or is it just such a basic necessity type of business that you're good?
I'll say my focus has always been sales, marketing, things like that. There's a lot of things that we can do a lot more efficiently now with communications, putting training programs, with graphics, things like that. There's a lot of things, but I don't know if I can directly answer that. I'm sure it's eventually affecting every industry, but at least for me, when I'm putting together plans and ideas and things like that, I can structure it. Anytime I send things out to our leadership, I'm making sure it's buttoned up, professional, and it's more concise. But I mean, I'm seeing that in my own world, but I don't know I think we can plan much more effectively using AI as a partner, as a tool. As I said, I'm using ChatGPT mostly.
Yeah. I call mine Amara. I
Yeah.
named her.
All right, there you go.
We talk a lot. She's my hot best friend. No, I'm kidding.
Oh,
That's
there
weird.
you go.
Don't clip that. If
All right,
if I
this is
have an
what
editor, don't clip
it's
that.
your podcast, so you can edit.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's what I'm talking to myself on the camera. Don't clip that.
Yeah.
One thing, and we can probably wrap up on this. I'm curious, based on Hulk's background and obviously WWE, and I know you're a sports guy as well. Have you guys talked to any Well, if you can't tell me this, don't tell me this.
Yeah.
But is there any partnerships in place, or have you guys thought about getting into whether the WWE, the UFC, the slap fights that Dana White's doing? Like, have you guys considered any of that kind of stuff?
So I'll share. Yeah, we're doing a lot. So WWE is a minority partner in our business.
Nice.
So they have a minority interest in Real American Beer. So I mean, recently at a WWE event, you see John Cena and Cody Rhodes crack open a cold Real American Beer and cheers. So we've been in that. Hulk Hogan, along with Eric Bischoff, Izzy Martinez, and Chap Bronstein, they started Real American Freestyle. So they've actually we've already had our first event. That was on August 30th in Cleveland at the Wolstein Center. We had about 5,000 people, and you had the best wrestlers. These were, college wrestlers. You're talking about Olympic medalists, gold medalists. You're talking, we had Holly Holm, a UFC fighter. She was a last minute. She wrestled. We had Kurt Angle as an analyst. So we're now in that space, but we've done other partnerships with NASCAR, Bassmaster Fishing. As I share, I recently sponsored some minor league baseball teams. Now we're sponsoring some minor league hockey teams. So we're doing a lot with sports. Recently sponsored a tournament, the World Championship, the American Cornhole Organization. So that was a lot of fun. But as I said, I see us keep growing with sports. So
yeah. Do you find I'm curious, maybe this is a hot take. Maybe this is political. Not really. This influx of influencers online, TikTok, social media, like a Jake Paul, Logan Paul, these kind of guys getting into boxing, getting into the WWE. Do you think this is a good momentum moving forward for the sport, or do you think it actually takes away a little bit of what it really is at its heart?
Well, I'll answer this in a couple questions. Once I remember Hulk was with Logan Paul, and we had some great content in them talking over a beer. Clay Guida, an MMA, legendary Hall of Fame fighter. He's been an ambassador for us, and as Juliana Pena as well was the women's champ. She's embraced and an ambassador of our beer and everything like that. But I do think anytime you get the Jake and Logan Pauls and things like that, these influencers with millions and millions or 10 millions of followers, I think it just attracts more to the sport. I mean, and both of those guys are incredible. I mean, they can walk their talk because they can really fight. So I think in general, it's probably good for the sport. It puts more eyeballs on it. I mean, there's a marketing element with all that, but I don't know. Obviously, you always want to see the best of the best and who's going to succeed, and those should be the most rewarded. But as for entertainment, it's about eyeballs, and it's about sponsorship dollars and marketing dollars, and sometimes these these very dynamic personalities can draw more attention. But I think in general, if I'm answering your question, it's like, hey, I think anytime a personality or an influencer can step in a different ring and show that they can really perform, I think in general, that's a good thing. And as human beings, we're social creatures. We're curious. We want, it's entertaining.
Yeah, agreed. Do you think the WWE is going to start to adopt a little bit more of even if it's like a separate event, I guess, just like with, is it just boxing? Well, I guess they've done boxing and MMA, where it's just like this celebrity chef versus Joe Biden. So these random. That'd be hilarious. Gordon Ramsay versus Joe Biden. But my point is, do you think the WWE is going to adopt these kind of celebrity matches like boxing has, like the UFC has, or do you think it kind of doesn't really fall into this arena?
Boy, I don't know the whole mastermind, the plan on what they want to do or what things. I mean, again, when you get somebody like a Logan Paul who has been doing these very sophisticated acrobatic moves and has really proven himself,
Yeah.
he can, whether he plays babyface or a heel. He's interesting and fun to watch. And I would think a celebrity still needs to be super athletic and strong or things like that to get their attention. I don't know who that is necessarily. Maybe you see somewhat. I don't think it's Gordon Ramsay, but but you never know. You never know.
Yeah, that's fair. Although I've never been a massive wrestling fan, only because my parents didn't let me watch it when I was a kid. So then I just never got into it. But I think I've come to appreciate it actually more over recent years. And part of it, I think, is because my eyeballs did get drawn because of these. I just heard everywhere, Logan Paul, I'm like, Logan Paul wrestling. And then I watched some of the clips and he's doing a backflip and I was like, oh, wow. And then even John Cena becoming more of a movie star has made me more interested in John Cena, the wrestler. And so it's interesting how eyeballs can draw you back to different places in someone's career.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. So anyways, with all that said, Matthew, there's definitely some other stuff we could chat about and get into, whether it's sports, beer, business, mindset. I think this is an awesome conversation, but we're coming up on the hour. So I want to give you the last few minutes here and whatever you want to plug, promote. I know we've talked about obviously the beer, but where can people find you if someone wants to get in touch with you? Do you make yourself available? What's the course of action if someone wants to contact you?
I would say it's easiest for somebody to contact me through LinkedIn. I mean, Matthew Rolnick, you can find that. Anyone that has something, partnerships, sponsorships related or things like that, my email is matt@therealamerican.com. And, but as I said, I'm always trying to find cool local bands, all sizes throughout the country. And I'm always looking for sports sponsorships too. That's something that I've really enjoyed. So, but that would be probably as I said, I'm active on LinkedIn and that would probably be the easiest. And that way, if somebody reaches out to me, I can see their background too.
Yeah, fair enough. Are you only open to country rock artists?
So
what
I
about
would say
deathcore?
no. So we have this Anaca heavy metal band in New York that we work with. We work with a couple grunge bands. We work with a lot of 80s bands, 90s bands, obviously country and rock, some solo artists. So we're working with a whole variety of different music acts and bands. So, and we find, if I had to, end or things, I mean, our goal is how do we bring people together? And we know beer, real American beer can bring people together. We know music can bring people together. We know sports can bring people together. So I've been kind of interacting in all those circles or things like that. So that's how I'm continually trying to network, brand myself, help real American beer get out there and find new partnerships and sponsorships.
I love that. I'd even love to see you guys in like the comedy podcast space. Like there's so much, if you know what Happy Dad is, they've done a lot. I think they're more of like a seltzer, I guess, but they, these guys are just a bunch of hooligan podcasters that are made a product, or at least, what's the guy's name? John something, I believe, on their team. I think he's the CEO of Happy Dad, but now they got their stuff into all these podcasts and Happy Dad's just in the background. And so that might even be a cool spot for you guys.
Well, don't rule us out with anything. We are very entrepreneurial. Again, whether we started, Hulk, Chad, Izzy, and Eric started this new wrestling league. We have Real American Beer. So whether it's podcasts, whether there's other, you just don't know. I mean, we're running wild. We're going to keep going out there, and but you'll have to wait and see as we keep growing. So.
I love it. Awesome. The Real American Beer. Cool, man.
Real American Beer.
I'll put I'll pop your email and the different things you mentioned. I'll pop it up on your face in the edit. I'll put it in the description. I appreciate you chatting with me, man. I know it's not always a good idea to commit to a full conversation with a stranger, especially when it's recorded. But I think this was a good decision. So hopefully you agree.
Well, hey, I appreciate it and love talking with you. And I wish you the best on your professional and personal journey. And I'm sure we'll be staying in touch here.
Awesome. Well, nice to virtually meet you, Matt, and we'll be in touch. Thank you again.